everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today is August 2nd, 2021. We do have a couple of little minor kit announcements overseas, and then we have this week's kit releases, which are in reality just a few things, sort of cleaning up the end of July, but we do have one August release on the second day of August, so that is cool, I guess. Well, you guys will decide how cool it is as we get there, right? So the two kit releases that are sort of new news, if you will, is speaking of new, Platts in their Japanese releases. Remember, these are always Japanese only. You got to go through a hobby search, I believe, in Japan or online vendor of your choice to get them. But there are going to be reissues of the Chevy Cruze 2013 Championship Kit and the Audi Quattro S1, the US Olympus Rally version. Both of those are going to come with window masks. This has sort of been their little song and dance now for probably the last 6 or 7 reissues, I want to say, or 7 releases, I should say, from the actual main release. I think they probably hold back maybe 500 kits or so, because it doesn't seem like they last very long, and it doesn't seem like they're doing a whole nother production run just to do window masks. They probably hold back a few hundred and do window masks for those and then sell them locally. Of course, window masks are available for these kits, and I personally now have used the window black decals, if you will, on the M8 that I've been working on in the background of all of these videos, and I have not personally had any issues with the window black decals. And I think that it comes down to an issue of perhaps patience and a little bit of a perceived reputation, right? Somebody on the YouTubes complains about something and then it becomes gospel fact regardless as to whether or not it's true. That person didn't like the experience, so therefore all people must now not like this experience. And I found that the decals fit well. They settle down well. They stay on. I've decaled several of these windows weeks ago, and I've not had any kind of like lifting or anything with these with the decals from the windows, and the windows have been moved around and stuff like that. Obviously, they're not on the parts runners anymore because I have the decals on them, and some of these require decals on the outside, so that's why I started decaling them early. And I have not, as of yet, and I hate using the "I don't have a problem" card because you didn't have a problem doesn't mean other people won't. I haven't actually had any problems with them, and like to that thing, I think it's a little bit overblown as far as these are the most awful things in the world and we should shoot everyone involved with them thing that goes around about them when you just seem to see them discussed online. That being said, I know a lot of people do prefer the window masks. I certainly do prefer window masks when there are not options otherwise. Um, it's a heck of a lot easier to mask something off with a pre-cut mask and then paint it and then take it off. But the one thing I did want to point out and that occurred to me and then left me while I was rambling there is the fact that when you consider how long it's going to take you to mask the windows, because of course window masks are usually one of those things where you either get it on straight and right the first time or you spend a half an hour trying to get it on there. Then you get your airbrush out, set it up, get the paint out, mix it, because there's very few paints you're shooting through an airbrush straight. You're cutting most of them with some sort of thinner or another. Paint it, and then hope the mask didn't leak. There's always that possibility that paint has you've gotten bleed under your mask, and then assuming that nothing did, you got to take the masks off and throw them away and store your glass someplace safe, and then you got to go clean your airbrush and take it down and put it away again. I'm really going to say that the patience required to use these decals, I mean, some of them are very thin to go around the edges of the window frames, is about on par time-wise with setting up and tearing down your airbrush. Even if you aren't deep cleaning your airbrush, it's still going to take a couple minutes to clean up and change colors out to do something else with it. So I say, personally, I see the point of window masks. I'm not anti-window masks. I'm just also not anti these window decals. I don't necessarily think I would wait on these kits to wait for the window mask versions. I've bought the window mask versions of a couple of these because I need more of them for the decal hoard that I've accumulated for a given car, but it was not something that I would, I'm not buying this until I have mask kind of thing. So, at any rate, there's those two new kits, and then the other one is a reissue of the Tamiya Nissan Fairlady 350Z Track. That was the sort of factory stock, if you will, Nissan 350Z kit they did. There's also the Nismo kit. The track kit, while it isn't hard to find, especially in the United States, is not something that's actually currently been in the Tamiya catalog for a little while, and it's gotten a little pricey on eBay. The Nismo 350Z continues in the catalog, so it was something you could still order off of a HobbyLink Japan or something like that, but the track had been out of the catalog for a few years, so that is going to come back. No real specified reason as to why that would randomly be picked out of all of them, but it's something, you know, it's probably the one Z car that is not currently in the lineup other than the old 300Z that's based off of like the late 1980s 300Z. I don't think that one has been produced for a little while either, but the 300ZX, the 350Z, 370Z, this all goes with the brand new Tamiya 240Z that they just released. So this is probably less to do with like, oh, hey, this kit hasn't been produced for a while, as much as it is we want to have all of our entire generations of Z kits available to be purchased at one time. So if you so desire, you could do such. So that'll be coming back in September if you happen to be looking for one. On the kit release side of things, like I said, we do have one domestic release. It is from the folks over at Atlantis. If I can get into my correct folders, I was moving some things around, and now everything is everywhere but where it should be on my screen here. It is the Groovy Grader. So, yeah, I mean, I get it. I totally get it. It's the thing that is one of the most requested Tom Daniels show rod kits out there. The box art here is designed by his son, from what I understand, and therefore the decals on the outside of the box are not the exact same decals that came with the kit when it was originally released back in the 1970s. So, the question then becomes whether or not this has two sets of decals in it. One, the sort of Daniel family edition version that is on the box art, and the original decals, or if it only has this sort of newer take on the Groovy Grader packaging. If the complete and total need to have this look exactly like it did back in the 1970s is something that you are concerned with, I would make the suggestion to definitely check out online reviews of this, or forums, Facebook, wherever you sort of get that sort of look inside a kit thing from, because, you know, something we really don't do much of here anymore. Something I wanted to do, but I just don't have the time to do these videos, let alone other stuff with it. And this is certainly not something that I would honestly purchase outright just to look inside of it in the first place. But yeah, this is back. And like I said, I don't get it, but I do understand the people that want to have it, and so happy days are here again for those folks. My local hobby shop has these in stock for, I believe, $25, so not quite 1970s pricing, but not quite as high as some of the newer kits are going for from the likes of like Salvino's and Round 2 and things like that either. So, you know, pick your poison, as it were. Everything else we have to talk about in this video is going to be an Aoshima kit. All of these are going to be reissues of some form or another. So we'll start on the bottom end here, if you will, on the stuff that is just restocks for this month. First up, you have this from the Liberty Walks line of kits, the Liberty Works Skyline Japan 4-door. So this is like a 1982 Nissan Skyline 4-door, just a reissue of that. And then you have a reissue of the Lamborghini Aventador. Something to always keep in mind with the Aventador kit, it is the only, the stock, if you will, the stock original Aventador. But remember, there's a convertible, and there is the 50th Anniversario and the SV and everything else. This one is the one that has clear parts and decals for the vents. And you are going to want to get the photo etch set that's sold separately to rectify that situation, because the vents, the decal vents on the clear parts look ridiculous, in my opinion. So keep that in mind with that. Reissue of the Toyota Celica 2000 GT liftback, reissue of the 2011 Subaru Sambar and Sport Rally Blue Limited version, reissue of the 1986 Nissan Leopard Ultima, reissue of the Aria Memia FD3S RX-7, and then we get into the stack of 4 Grand Champions kits for this month. And before I go into them on the screen here, I want to make sure that I've got them in the order of their the release here because these were like they're numbered basically. So okay, we are correctly numbered. So you have the two-door Nissan Skyline, which again is I think this is technically a late 1970s, very early 1980s Skyline. It's again a 78 to 82 range. Then you have the 1600 GT version of the Toyota Celica, the four-door late 1970s version of the Nissan Skyline. I think this is in the factory stock trim. I think this is a 77 technically. And then you have the 430 edition of the Nissan Cedric. So 4 more of the Grand Champion series. Like I said, there's 4 more coming in September as well, and 4 more coming this month. So that will take care of the 16 of them that there are, if you're trying to collect them all. And last but not least for this video is the last sort of quote-unquote new kit from August from Aoshima, and this is the 2018 Toyota Comfort Hybrid Hong Kong Taxi. So again, much like the Datsun, Nissan Datsun 220C diesel was a reissue of the Nissan Cedric with different logos, this is a slightly different named vehicle in its external markets. It is not the NTP10 Toyota Taxi, it is the Toyota Comfort Hybrid. So you have the new badging on the decal sheet for the Comfort brand and the hybrid logos. It has the Hong Kong Taxi stickers and things of that nature, and otherwise is a straight factory reissue of the NTP10 Taxi as it's come in the other 4 boxings. I believe that this roof light is sourced from somewhere else because there's no 2021 tooling, new tool pieces in this. So I'm not sure where that comes from necessarily. I'd have to go dig out the parts runners and see what the age of that is, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head because when this came out like right after our last video was recorded, and I have not looked at the kit assembly parts since then, and my version of it is in the mail someplace, so it is not here for me to verify visually in person. But again, if you've seen one of these kits, you've seen them all in terms of the contents. There's literally no new parts. It's just decals and how you paint the thing with the, again, the new badging for the Comfort brand of the Toyota Hybrid. And that, guys, wraps up this one. So as of the recording of this video, it is a mere 2 weeks to the IPMS Nationals in Las Vegas. You know, this is when you start getting into, again, better be finishing it up or be close to in order to get it packed up and ready to go. Also, when you start getting a little leery about airplanes, not in the sense of like, oh my god, this tube of death might fall out of the sky, but in the sense of, boy, I hope I don't cancel my flight. We had here over the weekend and into the beginning of this week a huge kerfuffle, and this one went across the entire country, but it was particularly affected here because Spirit Airlines flies out of one of our local regional airports in addition to Pittsburgh International, and they canceled all but 4 of their flights out of international, out of the big airport, and they canceled all of their flights out of the regional airport, which meant that a lot of people could not go home over the weekend. We had quite a few people locally, this was a major local news event, that were stuck in Georgia, stuck in Florida. I mean, they're, I guess technically speaking, there are worse places to be stuck than Florida, but I'm not sure by a large margin considering the way the COVID is going at the moment down there. But that notwithstanding, there are worse places to be stuck than Florida. And that continued all weekend long and into Monday and Tuesday of this week. So it was a kerfuffle of major events. Spirit was canceling hundreds of flights a day, stranded people for over 2-3 day weekends. People were renting cars from Florida and driving back to Pennsylvania. Yeah. I mean, that is a bit of what you get what you pay for there, because Spirit is like the Ryanair of the United States. I'm pretty sure you have to pay extra for customer service. And they don't have any kind of interoperability agreements with any of the other airlines. So if your Spirit flight doesn't go, they can't book you onto somebody else because they don't have that ability. It's not one of the legacy carriers where if your United flight gets canceled, we'll stick you on Delta, we'll stick you on American Airlines, we'll fly you to a different airport and get you onto a different connecting flight to go home. Now, Spirit is what Spirit is, and if your plane ain't there, you ain't going. So, yeah. You see things like that are not weather related but seem to be work related in the sense that they either their staff is sicking out on purpose or they just simply don't have enough for the flight schedule that they were trying to fly last weekend. It does make you a little nervous about getting on the plane. Not really, too worried about, oh, I got to wear a mask because I already had to wear a mask anyway. That was one thing that did come into effect over the weekend, is if you are going to Nevada and you somehow have not heard about this and you use this show as a source of information, well, first of all, shame on you for your foolishness. But beyond that, yes, they are requiring masks in Nevada now, pretty much the whole state, and especially within Las Vegas and Reno, the two major metros. So you will have to wear a mask at the show in Las Vegas, but you already had to have a mask on to get on into the airport and on the airplane anyway. If you are not worried about your flight being canceled, I'm sure you've probably seen somebody punch a flight attendant on a video that somebody took on their cell phone in the last couple of weeks, because people still can't seem to behave themselves like grown-ass adults when encountering, I don't know, the most minor inconvenience of having to put something over your face while sitting on an airplane for a couple hours to go somewhere 95 times faster than it would take for you to physically drive there. I can't help these people, I guess. But yeah. Enough of that. Enough of rambling for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys had a great weekend. If you weren't stuck somewhere by Spirit Airlines, I will see you guys on the other side.